Well, hey, how you doing? It's Colin Daniel here from riffninja.com. Good to see you and welcome. I'm answering a question today from one of my students. This is for Bob, and he asked the question, what to look for in a guitar teacher? Well, where do I start? I'll start with an experience I had when I was 17 or 18. I was in a club listening to what was going to become a very famous band later, and the guitar player in the band was awesome. He was playing a type of music I was interested in, and I was really impressed by him. So at the end of the night, I got his attention, and I had a word with him, and I offered him a very generous sum of money to teach me what he was playing, and if there was a way that I could arrange something with him so that he could teach me, because I hadn't found a good guitar teacher at this point, and it was difficult because most of the teachers that I had taken lessons from before really didn't know the fingerboard of the guitar that well, and this player in particular knew his guitar fairly well because of the way he played, you could tell. So even though I didn't know enough about it, I could tell he was a really good player, and his style really attracted me, the way he played. And he said he was very flattered with my offer, and it was generous, but that he couldn't help me because he was out on the road all the time, and that was his main pursuit. But he did leave me with some very good advice. So he said to me, most of the guitar teachers will ask you for money up front, like a month in advance, because you're usually dealing with a counter person, because you're going to a music school. Back then, at least, you went to a music school, or you went to a music store that had a studio in the back of it, or was connected to the music store, and you usually had somebody at the front desk that would sign you in, take your fees, and set you up with a lesson. But he said not to do that, to ask for either a chat with the teacher, or an interview, or if you could meet the teacher. And once you met the teacher, the first question to ask the teacher was, can you show me something you like to play? Play me something you like, And then he'd say, watch the player and see if any of what he's playing appeals to you. Then if you think that you might like to learn what he's playing, then the next step would be to sign up for some lessons to see if he can actually teach you what he's playing. And that's a heck of a good piece of advice, and I actually took that advice to heart, because in the area I lived in that time period, in the late 70s, there was no really good places for guitar lessons unless I went in to the big city, and that was a good 50-mile drive from where I lived. And it ended up that I did have to go that 50-mile drive to get those lessons, and I had to actually, and it took me quite a while, even though I had to go the distance for the teacher. I didn't get a teacher right away that I connected with. It took me a while, but I took this guitar player's advice, and it's a very good piece of advice. You definitely have to find somebody that you click with. You have to find somebody that you can relate to their sense of humor, or to the way they're getting their point across. And also you've got to like their playing style, as my advisor had told me. I think there are other things to add to that too, such as if you find a teacher that's teaching out of a book, I really disagree with that. Now, some teachers are going to get angry at me for saying this, but I'd like to say that most of the methods that I've seen that the teachers use to teach out of are poorly constructed, poorly organized, and will not get you very far. And it takes a long time. And one of the my biggest beasts is the Alfred and Mel Bay's guitar books. I do not want to play She'd Be Coming Around the Mountain in single notes. I want to learn to play some chords so I can strum along with my favorite song. Those books didn't get you into strumming for quite some time. they were pretty pathetic on the theory, and they only focused on the first position, riffs. They didn't really explain anything in the higher register. I personally think those books are a waste of time, and I used to pretty much, chuck them. When I had students that would come in, I usually took students on that were discouraged from other teachers' experiences, young students, and usually the books they brought in at that time period were Mel Bay's or Alfred's. Nowadays, you have a lot more resources to teach from, but I still say that they're not great books. Not too many of them. There's a few maybe that I could live with. I would have to go per book to give you advice on that. The play-along CDs and stuff like that help, and the note-for-note books with tablature in them, they all help. But in the end, the only way you're really going to learn to play is you have to have your teacher jamming with you or playing with you. That has to be passed on. And playing out of a book for 2 or 3 years is not going to help you become a really good guitar player. It might help you understand the guitar, but in the end, you have to play with somebody that's above your level. Hopefully your teacher will do that. Your teacher will play along with you and help you, because really music is passed on through your experience with other people playing. And it's really the only way in the end to learn how to play. And that's why I teach nowadays. I teach in groups of 3 and 4s. If we have to have a sit-down session, I have a sit-down session because we need to explain a particular piece of theory related to the chord progression or to the song we're playing or what I'm trying to get across. But really, I'm playing with my students all the time. I'm jamming with them all the time. Whether it's on a bass or drum kit or the guitar, you have to have somebody playing with you that has more experience. Really, you'll pick up more that way. Once you've got the technical end down, you've got some basic chords, and you've got some scales down. You have to learn a little bit. You can't. You don't want to just learn songs. That's another thing. Some teachers will just teach you songs and nothing else. You'll become an educated parrot is all you'll be. You need to be able to think for yourself a bit. So those are some of the pointers that I think that are really important. There's a lot more, but this will kind of give you something to chew on. I think a really important thing is you've got to be able to trust your teacher and appreciate him. There's got to be some general respect between both of you. I don't think age matters as much as the way you're treated, because I had some students that were a lot older than me, and they were, kind of questioning me, like, what can you teach me? You're just a young guy. And you'll get that too, but I wouldn't discount anybody for their age, because I've seen some great teachers at younger ages too. I would say your best bet is to find whether you click with this person and then find out whether they can teach you what they know. Anyways, for all of you that are searching for a good teacher, if you're more serious about wanting to play, this is a snippet of what I like to do. You can check out my site, riffninja.com, and don't forget to subscribe. There's more information that'll come to you if you subscribe. I like to answer more questions and give you more tidbits on the guitar. And I hope this has been really useful for you, and thanks for listening in. We'll see you next time.